My dear people of Amazonia, fellow brave warriors of the Southern Cameroons Liberation Movement, accept liberation greetings from me, comrade John Akuro. Today is Monday, and this Monday is the 23rd of June 2025. Today is also Country Sunday in Southern Cameroons, and I know our people are home observing this day and keeping it holy and continually praying and working very hard to ensure that we attain our objective of securing freedom for our people. My dear people of Amazonia, there are a lot of things going on around the world today. The world is moving, the world is in turbulence, and of course, that turbulence is definitely not going to evade our noisy neighbors of La République du Cameroon. This is a time more than ever before for each and every one of us, Southern Cameroonian, Amazonian, wherever you may be, to put in efforts to ensure that we are working very hard towards the finish line. We have changed strategies several times in this liberation movement, but there is one key thing that we still need to do to change the dynamics of the struggle. And that key thing is the only thing that will be planned and executed by a handful of people who are determined, who are focused, and who are resilient, even in the face of internal attacks, to make sure that we get to the finish line. There is a big thing that needs to be done, although it doesn't have to be said, but that is what has to be done now. Our people on ground zero have continued to show their determination, to showcase their focus, and to demonstrate resiliency. By day and by night, we have heard reports from people telling us, "Oh, if you go to ground zero right now, and you talk to anybody, a good lot of them will be telling you that they are all against the liberation struggle right now." Yet, every Monday, we find the people shutting their doors, closing their businesses voluntarily, and staying home. Because, let's face the facts, the enemy, La République du Cameroun, has sought to cast this, along with their parachutes in our midst, as being a day where the people are forced at gunpoint to stay at home. They have used all kinds of incentives to get the people of the Southern Cameroons to say, "No, we think that we are tired." The people have refused to yield. I can't recall the last time that you heard any gunshots on Sunday or on Mondays to scare people to go back home, as they always claimed that that is the case. But the people know that this whole venture is all the way to the finish line. That's why they are not wavering. But the people have been educated enough to understand that liberation movements operate in phases. You have high moments, you have low moments, you have moments where strategies are being revised, and you have different approaches that usually are all aimed at ensuring that you're having the best results. It's long since you last heard that some of your freedom fighters, the heroes, have fallen just anyhow, because they have also fine-tuned their approach, and they are making it now even more complicated for the enemy to understand what is going on. But the onus is on us in the diaspora to ensure that we continue to be the engine fueling this liberation movement. It is undeniable that we have slowed down, but we need to get back up from our slumber, because the times ahead are going to be extremely interesting. I don't want any of us to eventually end at the had I known land, because success, I've said here several times, is when Opportunity meets preparation. But if opportunity shows up and there is no preparation, it's a waste. That is why we have to go back to work. Don't think I'm not aware of the huge challenge we have before us. Because today, we have a lot of people who have infiltrated our ranks. Some who cry Ambazonia in the morning, Ambazonia in the afternoon, Ambazonia in the evening. Who spend their whole time attacking every other person as being an agent of La Republica, as being an agent of the enemy. These antics usually simply to make everyone feel that they are the most committed. Rather, they are those ones that fool you to put your trust, to put your belief, to put your everything in them, so that it makes their ability to betray and destroy our cause more effective. That's why I'm sharing this thought with you here today. That one of the scariest enemies on earth are those people who pretend to be your friend. I'd like you to take this one in real deep, because it is. The real enemy, the scariest enemy, the scariest, as he says, on earth are those people who pretend to be your friend. And the reason they are the scariest enemy is because as they pretend to be your friend, they pretend to be with you. What do you do in turn? You trust them. You plan with them. You share your every secret with them. You share your successes with them. I mean, you tell them everything that you're hoping to do upfront. You even give them the details and you count even on them to execute this. While at the same time, their role is simply to make sure that they foil everything you're planning to do. For the literary minds, anybody who has read Jean-Paul Sartre's Limbe, Jean-Paul Sartre is a French writer. He wrote a book entitled Limbe, as the Dirty Hands or something. That book is about politics, it's about betrayal, it's about friendship, and it's about internal destruction. But one very important thing he says in that book is the best way to deal with an enemy, to deal with someone you want to destroy, is to go close to the person. Make the person your friend. Make the person believe and trust in you. That way, you destroy this person in a way they will never be recognizable. That's exactly what the planted agents of La République du Cameroun in our midst have been doing. Too often, they are the loudest. I'm not joking. Open your eyes, put your ears on the ground, develop a critical mind. 98% of those who have spent all their time on social media accusing other people, oh, this one is an agent of La République, that one is an agent of La République, that one has already collected money, that one has, I say 98% of them have already been through La République's treasury. 98% of them at least. And as the days have been going by, the scars have been falling. For some, they have started manifesting themselves publicly, and we can see them. There are yet others whose only role is anytime they open their mouths is to call this one, that one, those are agents. This one, that one, those are people who are only working for one Cameroon. That one, the other one, these are people who are only working, they are even federalists. They go from federalists to their one Cameroon to their this. They don't ever have any time to come sit down and try to work towards mobilizing us towards fighting for the common enemy, that's La République du Cameroon. And they hide behind that fact that they are actually routing for some leaders. That they are doing that because they want you to recognize that this one is the one and only leader. That is where they take refuge. But their real goal is to see how to destroy the movement from within. My people of Amazonia, the time has come and passed when we paid attention to such parrots. Now is the time for serious work, hard work, a lot of behind the scenes work. And that's why I'm saying this and I'm reiterating. It will not be long before we start a lot of behind the scene consultations again. You need to know that this battle we're involved in is an existential battle, and we have to go all the way. Those that hate us, those that are making sure, those that are ready to do everything to see that we never realize our dream of attaining that absolute independence that almost 70% of the people say they want. I mean, said at the time the late Christian Cardinal Tube conducted his survey, and then over 84% in another survey said they want. Those people are determined to, they can kill themselves just to make sure we don't succeed. They will defy all kinds of conditions just to stand in our way. They will enter even water just to make sure that they foil our plans. I'd like us to watch this video keenly. I will let it flow. When I come back, I'll tell you exactly why I brought it here. I know you have already seen it, but there is a big message in this video that you might not have deciphered, and we will share it together right here. Have fun.
See, the way they used to sweet me. The way they used to sweet me. Now the sweetest day this for me, body Limbe. Inside water. CPDM. Hey, CPDM. Inside water. The thing sweet me very badly. Cameroon no show me no nothing.
As you are seeing there, just to help you before you finish watching the video and then I come back for us to dissect it, these are members of the CPDM crime syndicate in Limbe, in Victoria. They planned this massive rally, and of course it was orchestrated by Nalova Lyonga. And they wanted it to be so massive, so big, to show to Paul Biya and the enemy, La République du Cameroon, that the people of the southern Cameroons are vomiting their own aspirations. That the people of the southern Cameroons are even going back to their vomit. Their vomit is La République du Cameroon. And when it was organized, of course, Mother Nature said, not in my name. I mean, Mother Nature, the gods of the southern Cameroons, of Amazonia, said, not in my name. And it unleashed. The heavens unleashed rains, torrential rains like you've never seen before. The whole place was massively flooded, heavily flooded. The last time I played a snippet of it, and you could hear Mbelamoki Charles, or aka Ngaringa, crying in the background about what. But just watch this video again till the end before I come back to it.
This is history. This is news. Alakai. News Alakai. Yes. The thing sweet me go pass. Yes. See, the way they used to sweet me. The way they used to sweet me. Now the sweetest day this for me, body Limbe. Inside water.
So folks, as you can see, despite the torrential rain, despite the floods, despite the horrible atmospheric conditions, you see, those members of the CPDM crime syndicate are determined. They are undeterred. You can see them. They are marching in that water. They are determined that they must do what they plan to do. They are not postponing. They are not forgetting. You see, hear them playing their drums. You see them marching with their flags, with the effigy of their Sangobinatan in that water, going to sit in that grandstand in such horrible conditions with their legs in water. They don't care whether they may be, whether they may catch some diseases and all of those things as a result of. They are soaked, not just from the top, but even their legs. Some of them will actually be almost knee deep in that water. But they are undeterred. They are determined to go do what they want to do. They are determined to ensure that they send the message they intended to send. They are determined to demonstrate that they are ready to foil the dreams of the people of the southern Cameroons. Now, this should serve as a lesson to those of us who are fighting for the freedom of our land. You need determination, you need focus, and you need resiliency to attain your objective. I'd like you to see to what length the enemy, the internal enemy, will go to make sure that they block the chances for us to secure the freedom we all seek, to ensure we live a prosperous, independent, and democratic Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonia, to generations upon generations of our people to come. No, you can see to what extent they will go to make sure they send the wrong signals to the international community. They are ready to even kill themselves to make sure they stand in our way. This shows you that when you go and lie on your laurel, because you tell yourselves that our cause is a just cause and normally we will make it, the enemy always works over time. The enemy does not fear atmospheric conditions. The enemy does not fear self-destruction as long as they are sure it will harm you and I one way or the other. But now turn and look in our midst. For the least error that happens, the least obstacle, a good lot of us are ready to run quickly and go and just stay in the background and start saying, down on Ambazonia, down on Southern Cameroons. The least drawback, you hear people immediately start calling us or calling ourselves names. The least drawback. So people start saying, oh, better things than for even there as the first day before. My people of Ambazonia. When I read Nelson Mandela's Long Walk to Freedom, one great message I picked out of there was that if you begin on a journey and that journey is so smooth, you meet no obstacle at all, if you are wise, stop, make an about turn and go back, because that path is going to lead to nowhere. There is nothing ahead. But when you begin, you set out on a journey, you meet obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. One thing is certain, right ahead of you, there is a crown. My people of Amazonia, the challenges we are facing in our liberation movement today were generally, from day one, part of the plan. When you decide to say, I'm withholding my support, I'm withholding my contributions, I'm withholding this, I'm withholding that, you are not causing harm to anybody, harm to yourself. Harm to our own very aspirations. Harm to the dream we have couched together. Harm to the cause that millions of our people are ready to die for and are even already dying for. It is incumbent on each and every one of us to recognize that in order to attain our objective, we were always going to face a lot of challenges. This doesn't have to be a walk in the park. When I came on the set, way back in 2018 and the beginning of 2019 to announce that the enemies among us, members of the CPDM crime syndicate, gathered at the home of Tang Mbianyo Clarkson at a level in Yaoundé, were planning to put in place a strategy through which the local population, the civilian population, will be seriously brutalized, tortured, maimed, hurt by people who seem to be their own people, who seem to be the very ones who are fighting for freedom. Some thought I was kidding. In the process, you were always going to expect that even some hardened bandits who had decided to join the liberation movement at the start in good faith were going to see an opportunity to go back to their spot of predilection, taking advantage and claiming that they too were freedom fighters, and they will go around and kidnap for ransom and all of those things. And so they joined hands, therefore, with those who were simply infiltrated in the ranks to do these things. When the late John Fundi said a lot of the members of the CPDM crime syndicate had their own groups of boys that they kept and were using for this same purpose, kidnapping for ransom, harassing the population, doing all kinds of things on civilians to turn them against the liberation movement, maybe some didn't pay clear heed. Thus the notion of Atanganji boys and others. When I saw an article written by a fine and refined journalist back home, Corbett Fuller Gwine, published in the Corbett Factor, in which he talked about the use of the moniker Amber Boys, I said, now, even on the home front, it's beginning to dawn on the people exactly what this whole concept and phenomenon was all about. Because increasingly, the people on the ground realize that a good lot of those who come in the name of Amber Boys have nothing completely to do with this liberation movement. If yes, one goal: work for those ringleaders calling themselves our elites, members of that CPDM crime syndicate, and then double crossing them at some point and working too for themselves. Ever understood why the serious harassment by so-called kidnappers for ransom mainly touched the civilian population and members of the opposition parties in our land? Very scarcely any member of the CPDM crime syndicate. Very scarcely any of them. I mean, very scarcely. Take a look. Go back down memory lane. Try to reflect. And you will see exactly what I'm talking about. Tell me, how often have you heard that those top guns, members of the CPDM crime syndicate, those so-called parliamentarians, some of them who even actually go sometimes and move in their communities freely, they can enter, but their counterparts of the opposition, especially the SDF, could not. Why? Because those who are after such people, those who are perpetrating the kidnapping for ransom or whatnot, are on their payroll. Those are the people they work for. These are things we ought to know, so that this will guide us in our discourse and in our approach to those kind of challenges on our people. And they use those that infiltrated our midst and who know who contributes how and who contributes well for the liberation movement. They make sure they targeted their family members back home, so that you will get angry, frustrated with the struggle, and you will stop contributing to the struggle. My dear people of Ambazonia, I know that this talk sometimes may sound like a broken record, but for emphasis, it's important to bring them up every now and then, because we need to know. I'd like to thank each and every one of you who's been part of this show, and I want to take a moment to extend my heartfelt sympathy to the family of comrade brother Eric Ate, who passed on to glory in Minnesota uh, last week. Eric Ate was a member of the Sakolet IG, was a vice president to Samuel Komesako in the Sakolet IG. Eric Ate was a very strong voice in this liberation movement, very, very strong voice. And that is someone whom I personally came to know within the framework of this liberation movement. And he was very committed and contributed as much as he could to fuel this liberation movement. Eric Ate was a very passionate fellow, passionate about our freedom, and not a single day passed without him doing one or two things meant to push his liberation movement forward. Sometimes we may have some differences among ourselves in this liberation movement, but those differences generally are just differences in terms of strategy, in terms of thought. Because at the end of the day, we all have the same objective, which is pursuing the freedom of our homeland. I know it's painful. This is a big loss. It's a grieving moment. And I really want the family to take heart and know that they are not alone in this. One promise I want to give to Eric Ate, brother, comrade, as you depart, and the same promise we have given to all those who have gone before you in the hopes that we will keep the fire burning until we attain our objective, is that we will not waver. No matter how many of us go, those that stay behind will continue the charge until we attain our objective, which is freedom land. Eric Ate, may your soul rest in peace. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your very kind attention. Share this message as much as you can. Let's make sure that we continue to educate and motivate ourselves as we charge on ever towards freedom land. To God be the glory.